Hello, my goddesses. How are you doing in working with this moon energy as we're moving through this moon cycle? How are you doing working with this energy? What are you doing? Let's get a little bit into this moon cycle. And I really appreciate all of you for your patience when waiting for this video with me. I had intended on getting this message out earlier. Our new moon, we're about halfway through between the new moon and the full moon right now, and I had left a post on my Instagram talking about this new moon in Taurus energy and saying that I was going to be doing a video here on YouTube. So I apologize that it has taken me longer than I expected to get this video out to you all. I feel like I am currently in a season where the universe is full of surprises for me right now, and you know, I make my plans and the universe laughs. So I am rolling with what is with my life and trying to respect my own needs at the same time of dealing with unexpected turns of events. So I appreciate your patience with me as I navigate this new energetic space. So back to the subject for today, new moon in Taurus. Like I said, I will drop in the description box below the link to my Instagram if you want to check out the post there and follow me there. I also will be on the community section of this channel. I will be dropping the written post from Instagram. I will be dropping that on the community section as well, so you can reference it there, either or, whatever works better for you. So how much do we know about Taurus energy? If it's like a new moon in Taurus, which is, you know, working with the moon cycles, it's about building your manifestation and kind of, I think of like a jar, right? Like think of a big glass jar and you're cultivating all this energy in this jar and storing it up and saving it up and really letting it build, watching it rise, like putting coins into a jar, watching it rise and choosing to just let it, the momentum grow until the time is right to, you know, pour out the jar of coins or cash them in for money or whatever you choose to do, right? And now that I'm actually thinking about it, that whole visual is actually really, really relevant, even more than I thought, to my thoughts for this whole moon cycle and working with it. So again, coming back to Taurus, Taurus for me is a really big, encompassing energy. You know, Taurus is an earth sign, so it has that groundedness. It has the understanding that manifestation takes time, and manifestation is a set of actions or behaviors or thought processes. It is the understanding that a foundation is laid energetically or physically, emotionally, whatever it may be. A foundation is laid and then patiently nurtured and grown, right? That's a big part of the Taurus energy. Taurus, however, at the same time, it's about luxury. It is about pleasure, sensuality. You know, for me, I have some really significant placements in Taurus in my birth chart. And so Taurus is an energy I'm constantly being very aware of how it specifically affects me with my strong placements that I have in Taurus. And so for me, it often manifests as, you know, in my home, I'm very like texture oriented, like as far as like blankets and pillows and how things feel, rugs on the floor. I'm very aware of how things feel. And it's very important to me that they feel comforting and other things, many other things, but comforting and soft. And they do have an element of a luxurious feel to them. And that is a very Taurus aspect. You know, I have orchids. I have a whole lot of orchids behind me. That's kind of part of my new identity that I'm stepping into at this time of my larger sense of self, is really resonating with the idea of orchids and all that they imply for me. And orchids are an exotic flower. And it's funny, as I talk to people about orchids, there is obviously, and I used to too feel this way, there is a common perception around orchids that they're difficult to grow, right? Like more of a picky, high maintenance kind of a thing, which again kind of reflects into that idea of like luxury and pleasure. It's like these are things that aren't just basic. They're a little more complicated, can be a little more complicated, right? So, or feel complicated. So anyway, all of that to say, Taurus is a whole lot of things. You know, with tarot cards, Taurus is that pentacle, often has that like pentacle energy. So, and that's really where I want to go with this. Not even necessarily about money. We will talk about money a little bit here. That is part of it. But think of the bigger picture. You know, when I'm working with clients or talking to people, I often get a feeling that we're not really understanding how big energy is, in the sense of these energies really anchor into our physical existence in many different ways. And I think with our human mind and the limitations of our human mind and the way the human mind works to kind of want to box things up neatly and organize things and put definitive lines and parameters around things so it can grasp concepts better. I know the mind loves to do that, but it limits us from really understanding all of the ways these energies translate into our physical existence. Okay? All that being said, I'd love to zero in on a question and then expound from there with this new moon Taurus energy, building in this Taurus energy in Taurus season. We're at the kind of getting to the end of Taurus season, but it's never too late to work with this and build an awareness around this energy and really start bringing it into your daily life. So the question is, what is your instability? And what are you looking at? I'm going to make this into a few questions, actually. What are you looking at? And where is your instability? All of this to go around the concept that I heard recently that I thought was absolutely brilliant. When you look at the instability, that's when you find stability. So the question is, are you willing to look at your instability? Instability, right? If Taurus is very grounded, groundedness is stability, right? And again, with the idea of Taurus, with pentacle energy, I'm talking resources, okay? Resources. Now, when I say resources, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Is it money? I know for me, I often used to struggle with that word energetically, right? Like, what does that really mean? Resources. What are my resources? How broad of a term actually is that, resources? Let me know in the comments below what's coming up to you immediately for resources. Now, resources, and again, this is going to translate different. It's going to resonate differently for everyone depending on your particular birth chart and what your sun, moon, rising, all of those bigger placements are, what houses they're in, all of that. And I'm not going to get into that detail. So there's different parts of the idea of resource that are going to really jump out and resonate with you in my message. So take whichever one you're really noticing kind of ping on you and maybe focus on that area of resources. Resources, of course, yes, can be money. Yes, obviously. So let's go down that path first of all. Because I know that in a lot of the feminines that I speak with, I know that this year in particular, and again, this has been an energy that's been building among divine feminines and goddesses and empresses and high priestesses, of this desire to really get firmly comfortable in your money and in your sense of financial independence, standing on your own 2 feet with more than what you need, so that again, you're comfortable. A sense of abundance. And what is abundance? It has that luxurious feel to it. You know, having more money than just what you need and having maybe a little extra money than you've had previously, and what would be possible if I did have a little bit more abundance in the money. So this can go into business. A lot of the women that I work with and speak with, like myself, are self-employed and have businesses of their own. And so the question is, how can I get better in my business to really take it to the next level? What do I need to do to allow myself to be more seen? What skill sets or what trainings could I invest my money into that would help me develop some skills that I see are lacking in the business end of things, right? Whether it be like marketing or some other thing that I know a lot of us feminines kind of struggle with, right? We struggle with the nitty gritty businessy kind of stuff because we just love being in the creative, expressive, emotional, healing realm of things. And so the business end of things can feel a little difficult and challenging and dense and heavy. So maybe there's some kind of training or someone to work with or something, some book to read, something to listen to that would help you expand your business in that way to be more abundant in the financial money aspect resource. Resources can also be your home. I've been feeling this one a lot. My home. Do you all of a sudden have this like crazy urge to completely redecorate something or express yourself differently in your home, or repair things so that your home is more safe, or whatever the issue may be, repairs or updates or revising something's kind of old and worn out, so you replace it with something newer so that it's kind of freshened up a little bit. Anything around the home. Now, home can be your home around you. It can also be your body. See, this is what I'm talking about with these words have bigger meanings and applications to our human existence than I think we often understand. We limit the definition of these things. Your home can be your physical body. There's a lot of focus right now in the collective that I see around taking care of my physical body better, whether that be with exercise or with supplements or with hormonal balance, gut health, mental health, emotional health, physical health, eating, clothes that I wear. Are my clothes, do they fit me appropriately for how I want to express myself or how I want to feel in my body? I recently went through my closet and just felt like a lot of my stuff looked tired. Like I'd been carrying it around with me for a long time, and it works, and then they're staples, right? They're staples, and they work, and so I just keep bringing them around with me from season to season. But maybe it's time for refreshing, to kind of put a little more pep in your step, to feel more taken care of in that way. Sometimes those kinds of things can really be self-care, right? So your physical body, what are you doing with your physical body? Maybe you're changing your hairstyle. Maybe you're changing how you do your makeup. Maybe you're changing the color palette of your wardrobe. I don't know. There's a lot here of nuanced expression with the body, the physical body, and all that that entails for resources. Resources also can be emotional. And this is my favorite topic always, all the time. And I feel it's often so neglected and underestimated with how impactful and transformative this stuff is, because it is so invisible. And emotional energy it's invisible, but it's felt. And the things that are felt, isn't that the more powerful stuff? Between this channel and my first channel, Inhale Love with Suze, that's the thing I keep coming back to. Even though the wide range of subjects and videos that I've done, It all comes back to emotional energy for me, and recognizing the power that can be harnessed with our emotional energy, and that how you choose to invest that resource of emotional energy is literally life changing. And I'm not being dramatic at all here. It is so transformative. And too often, I feel that we aren't educated enough, and this makes me personally very upset. We aren't educated, and we have to go out and search for information of how to be more wise with our emotional energy, because it is such a powerful resource. So, on that note, how are you investing your emotional energy as a resource? Do you even regard it as a valuable resource? And back to the idea of instability, we're going to wrap all of these subjects up, all of these aspects of resources, whether it be your home, your body, your money, your business, your emotional self, your emotional energy, your heart space energy, your internal world emotionally. We're going to all bring this back to the idea of instability. When you notice emotional instability, something happens and you notice something's going on internally with internal conflict or internal chaos or internal upset in some way, shape, or form, therefore instability. What do you do with that instability? Are you looking for the instability to therefore find your stability? Do you look for the instability? Are you willing to sit with the instability? Are you willing to observe and with love and groundedness and that nurturing energy work through the instability to find stability on the other side? Or do you unwisely use that resource to self-sabotage? When we're in a state of emotional instability, nervous energy comes up. And I just like to blanket it with anxiety, because I think that's an easier term for everyone to grasp onto, that anxiety is clearly something we need to learn to work with, right? So nervous energy, anxiety type energy in the body that is generated when we're in some sort of emotional instability experience internally. Do you fall into the trap of instant gratification and self-sabotage by looking to release that nervous energy as quickly as possible? And for women, often that's done through talking, getting it out through talking. So when you're speaking, are you speaking to get rid of nervous energy, but in the process, you're denying yourself access to the wealth of information for yourself, the wealth of growth, resource growth, emotional growth that could potentially happen if you learn to hold and observe and work through that nervous energy instead of just expelling it. Now, expelling it can happen in many different ways. And again, it always goes back to that instant gratification kind of a thing. Is it just speaking at the mouth when something's bothering you and you just got to get it off your chest kind of a thing? And please, again, do not misunderstand me. I'm not saying that you should not speak. That's not what I'm saying. But can we pause for a moment and observe our patterns of self-sabotage? If we're looking at the bigger picture, again, think growth, right? The coins in the jar, growth, the bigger picture, expansion. If we're looking at the bigger picture, what are the behaviors I'm doing or not doing that are ultimately sabotaging the growing of the coins in my jar, in the growth of my emotional maturity, in the growth of my working with my emotions to be more confident, to be more stable, to be more who I want to be in the world emotionally, showing up in the world how I want to be. This video is turning out to be much longer than I anticipated. I hope you're all still here. Is it through speaking? Or maybe it's impulsive buying, spending money, which is just another resource, just another form of energy. Do I impulsively buy things to temporarily make myself feel better? Maybe. But then do I, after the spending and the high or the instant gratification that happens through the spending and the receiving of the thing you bought, do I afterwards have any shame or guilt or regret around spending the money? Or is it sabotaging, again, the bigger picture of where I really want to go with my money? Is it sabotaging the life I want to have with my money on things that weren't really worth it? Selling myself short through money spending for the bigger picture of how I want my life to feel. That's a very personal and complex question that takes time to sit with what is and not just kind of tap yourself out with impulse spending. And that's with anything. What am I doing with my emotional energy? Who am I investing my heart space energy into? And recognizing that every time I am opening my heart and pouring heart space energy, emotional energy, and attention into something, is that thing, does it reflect the value? A crow just landed in the tree right outside my window. That's a sign for me, and maybe it's a sign for someone else as well. Am I investing that in a space that equally values in return what I'm giving? So often we talk about self-worth, and I don't want to go deep into this conversation. This is for another day. But so often we complain that a person, place, or thing, we don't feel valued. So then why are you continuing to give energy into something that's not making you feel valued? You're not valuing you by choosing to spend your heart space energy, your emotional energy, and mental attention on something that you already know isn't aligning with your view of your internal value. So you got no one to blame but yourself. What are you looking at? Are you looking at the stability that you have and only focusing on that and not willing to look outside of that for the instability and work with the instability outside your comfort zone, right? The things that you know that already make you feel stable and safe is everything in your comfort zone of how far you've already come in this life and what you've already conquered, in a sense. I don't really like that word, but it's the one that's coming to me in this moment. Your known comfort zone. But that's your coins in your jar that's at this level. You know this. But there's so much more to be put into that jar. But you can't put into that jar until you step outside your comfort zone into the instability, looking for the instability to work with that instability, work through it with patience and groundedness and laying your foundation. Looking for the instability to work with that, to create stability out here. So now you've moved from stability here to now you have stability all the way out to here. And the process is kind of like a rinse and repeat. And that is growth. That is expansion. It's outside your comfort zone. And what is outside the comfort zone? Instability. So instead of constantly looking for safety and stability, because I feel that this is a disservice when I see this message out there. If you're on this channel and you're listening to me and you're resonating with my message, you have outgrown that mindset of looking for the safe and the stable. You've already done that, of anchoring into a reality and rituals and a lifestyle that you know creates some level of stability and safety for you on your own. You have taken the responsibility to craft that baseline already. So now it's looking beyond that, looking for the instability and working with that to create greater wealth for yourself emotionally, resources. So I ended with the emotional resource, but it actually ends up affecting everything else in the physical world. What are you doing or not doing when you're in a state of noticing emotional instability? And are you doing or not doing things that quickly help you release that bigger, overwhelming, anxious, nervous energy and just get rid of it? Or are you choosing to sit with it? Are you choosing to take responsibility for yourself and it and work through it to create greater emotional maturity, greater emotional intelligence, strength, and all of the rest of it? And that's where that goddess energy sits. Goddess, you've moved beyond. You're not in the little kiddie pool anymore. You're learning to swim in the deep end of unconditional love, intuitive, magical manifestation in the realm of the unseen world, the emotional world, the moon energy world. Let me know in the comments below if you're still here with me. I thank you and appreciate you. This video was longer than normal. Let me know in the comments if you're comfortable. What are you focusing on this moon cycle? How can you expand your resources? How can you learn to look at resources as a bigger term for your life and work through with that? What causes the instability for you? What are you noticing the patterns there? Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm sending so much love and peace and playfulness and happiness to you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.